Hello, welcome to my channel, Basic Understanding of Anger. Today we're going to talk about anger is hurt. And this is from my book I told you guys about, which is chapter 1, I believe. So, this is what I learned, and this is what I want to share with you. I know I spoke a couple times about thinking I was nuts because I didn't understand my feelings or my emotions. And so I learned from my counselor that anger is hurt, unresolved feelings, emotions, and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to read this to you. And I hope again that I can teach you a tiny bit of something. So here we go. Anger is hurt. In this chapter, you will learn how to identify your feelings. When we get upset, we automatically think we're angry. That's not the case. We are hurting. Most of our feelings come from past hurt. Most of our past hurt comes from childhood hurt that was never dealt with. So isn't that the truth? I remember myself growing up, and still today, it's not like I'm 100% well. Although I try, I still have moments where I lose it, to be honest. But that's life, right? Life is a journey. We have to keep learning day in and day out. Every day is something new to learn. So, as children, we needed someone to teach us how to understand our feelings. And I know I mentioned this before too, that when I grew up, feelings was not a topic that we talked about. I'm sure most of you, if you're honest, you can relate with why are you crying? You want something to cry about, and then you got smacked. And that was the extent of understanding feelings. So without someone teaching us how to deal with our feelings or what exactly we were feeling, we grew up emotionally unhealthy. So what happened next is that we learned how to handle our feelings in very unhealthy ways, which is true. Some of those ways are as followed. We learn to become violent, right? You get violent because you don't understand what you're feeling, and someone says something to you that you don't like, and it's easier really to punch them in the face and that's it, get into a fist fight, right? Or you become real withdrawn, you go within, or you're hostile, or you become revengeful. Sometimes you become insecure or super sensitive, and or lastly, depending on the level of emotions that you're experiencing, you become depressed. So this happens to a lot of people because of the lack of emotional awareness. Some of us don't even have a clue that our entire emotional outburst comes from the hurt we have been lugging around with for years. We think as adults that we have a bad temper or that we are crazy or just not worth a dime. I'm here to tell you differently. You are worth more than money can buy. No one can buy your personal hurt. Whatever you may have gone through is what makes you unique and valuable. So before you start thinking that you're nuts and putting yourself down and talking poorly about yourself, understand that this is something that you can change. Emotional awareness is a never-ending process, and it's something that can be handled. It's something that can be changed, and you can behave differently, and you can start thinking differently about yourself once you understand what's going on. So now as adults, we must learn how to take care of ourselves. As adults, we must make sure that we don't repeat this neglectful behavior. So just because we weren't taught as kids about emotions doesn't mean that we got to keep carrying it on. throughout your entire life and pass it on to the new generation. We are not responsible for our actions. It's the truth, right? If you get upset, you can't slap the hell out of somebody and then blame it on that person. You have to take responsibility for your own behavior. We can no longer blame anyone from our past for not doing what they should have done, right? You get to a certain age, you can't keep blaming your mom and your dad and whoever raised you for something that wasn't given to you or something that didn't happen, because after a certain point, it's just pure nonsense that you keep blaming someone else for what you should be doing as an adult to better yourself. If you are ready to make a change for the better, then follow me through this workbook I have put together for you. I promise that at the end of each chapter, you will begin to see things differently, which is true, because even like my book is very, very simple. This is chapter 1. It's very, very simple, but it makes you think. And every time you take time to think, you learn a teeny tiny bit of something, which makes a difference long term. So with this chapter, I have included a list of 75 words. And naturally, all these words are negative words, if you will. You know, these are, when you're happy, you don't slam things around, you don't get into a fist fight with somebody, you don't get depressed, you know. So of course, all these words are going to be on the negative side. So you can create your own list of words that help you understand who you are and what you're feeling. This was my list because this was like the first time that I even understood about feelings and emotions. My counselor used to ask me, what do you feel? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, explain your question, because I had no idea what the heck she was talking about. So she told me to go home and write a list. And so this is the list I came up with, which is the list I'm sharing with you guys. But of course, you can always omit some of these words and add your own. And then these are the questions that I put at the end of my little chapter to help you understand a little bit of how to get in touch with feelings, because I needed to be taught like from the very beginning, like a baby, you know. So question number 1, if you want to write it down, you can, is pick 3 words that best describe how you feel right now or felt the last time you were upset. So you can write that question down and then think about words, but be honest with yourself. You know, you could have felt frustrated last time, you could have felt threatened, you could have felt sensitive, you could have felt scared, you could have felt neglected. And because of these feelings, something happened. You got in an argument with somebody, you know, something happened. Only you know what happened last time you were upset. Number 2, next to each word, write what happened that made you feel this way. So in question 1, if you pick 3 words for the last argument you had or the last time you were upset, and then write your little story. What happened that made you feel that way? And try to identify it with the proper word, a proper feeling. And then once you do that, because this is what I was taught, once you do that, then you have to take it back. So like, say if you picked the word neglected, you felt neglected, and because of that, something happened, you know? There was a big argument, a big fight, whatever it is, right? So I was taught that once you pick the word and you understand the feeling, then you take it back to question number 3, which is compare it to something which happened to you as a child that made you feel the same way. So if you pick the word neglected, then you have to kind of pinpoint when was the first time you felt neglected. So that might take you way, 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 way back, 3 or 4 years old. And again, you have to be honest with yourself, and you have to be patient with yourself and or your family members or whoever was in charge of raising you. Number 4, now that you are an adult, how will you handle what is going on in your life today? So if you felt neglected, and because of the feeling of neglection, you got into a fight or something happened. So today you want to behave differently. You want to do things differently, right? So compare the misunderstanding or the last time you was upset, how you handled it, to how you would handle it today, knowing the tiny bit of information that you know now. Keep in mind that however you choose to handle your feelings, it must be done in a way that brings you respect and honor. And so, of course, even though we're learning and we're going through life, because life is a journey, there really shouldn't be like an age limit for what you should and shouldn't know. I think because I was a late learner, I feel like there shouldn't be a time limit. Or by this age, you should have known this, you should have known that. No, because it's not true. Because everybody's life is different. Everyone's journey in life is different. And we all unfold and we all learn things differently. So I don't think that anyone should be judged because they don't know something at whatever age they are. Like, that's not reality. That's not how life works. So respect and honor should always be in the front of your head. What am I going to do now? How am I going to handle it now? What do I do with this now? And always stay true to yourself. No matter what kind of new experiences you're having and confusion and anything that upsets you, how are you going to handle it today that makes you feel better as a person, as an individual? And of course the people around you, because when we lose it, people around us get hurt too. It's not just us. It's not just us in this bubble, in this box. Our behavior, our feelings, the way we see things affects everyone around us. But it's never too late to learn, and it's never too late to change. And keep in mind that changing doesn't happen just like that. It does not. It's a freaking process. I said earlier in one of my other videos that you need a bottle of Advil with you, because once you start learning and trying to understand what's going on and how to change it, you get a freaking headache. Because it's always easier to do what you were doing before than to try this new found information. How do you apply it? I mean, it's always easier if you get angry to slam a glass against the floor, probably grab somebody by the neck, because that's what we're used to, and so it's easier, you know what I mean? Instead of, okay, now this person is talking unnecessary crap, what do I do with it? How do I handle it? Because they're making me feel a certain kind of way. Maybe they're making you feel threatened, and you feel like, oh no, you know, and you got to defend yourself and you got to take care of yourself. So, but you don't want to behave like that forever and ever. You want to be able to change your ways no matter how many years it takes. And of course, trying to stay out of jail. Try to stay out of jail. Try to keep your hands to yourself, because that's what's best for self. So I hope I was able to teach you a tiny bit of something. Remember that life is a journey. Live it with integrity, an open mind, and a never-ending desire to learn. And I'll see you next week. Thank you.